Welcome back to LAWSTACHE channel. My name is Anton Vialtsin. I'm a criminal defense attorney in the Southern District of California here in San Diego. We've learned in the 2015 Supreme Court case Rodriguez that officers cannot unreasonably prolong a routine traffic stop. Now, in this video, we're going to answer a follow-up question by reviewing a recent Ninth Circuit case. In fact, this case was just published a few days ago, and it answers the question whether a police officer who conducts a criminal check of the driver unreasonably and unlawfully prolongs the traffic stop. In this video, we're discussing United States versus Hilton, a Ninth Circuit case that was published just a few days ago on April 5th, 2022. And here's what happened. On October 2016, there was a bank robbery. The individual took $70,000 and fled in a black SUV, which some of the witnesses said that it could have been a Ford Escape. Now, the witnesses also gave a description of the individual who robbed the bank, but nobody was caught yet. On December 2016 at 6:13 in the morning, Hilton was found non-responsive at the wheel of the vehicle in the middle of the intersection in Las Vegas. So other drivers called in 911 and the officers came out. When they knocked on the window, they found Mr. Hilton disoriented and confused. They instructed him to exit the vehicle and take his license and the vehicle registration with him. When he exited the vehicle, he did it, but without the registration or license. The officers told Mr. Hilton to get the license, and he instead told the officers that the license and the registration were in the back seat of the vehicle. Now, the officers then could not locate the registration nor the license in the back seat, but they found a closed gun case with the gun inside in plain sight. Now, here I wrote,
What? Huh? What?
Automobile exception, plain view doctrine. Review some of my videos and cases that I've discussed on this channel. Does this fit within the automobile or plain view doctrine? Here's why I ask you this question. In the case, the Ninth Circuit doesn't explain how the officers went into the vehicle, opened up the gun case, and found the gun. They simply say that this was in plain sight. Maybe it's because an argument that didn't go to the appellate level, or maybe it's something that the attorney did not argue at the lower level. But anyways, we know that the officers went into the vehicle, so that's a search. And then of course, by opening up the gun case, that's another search. The question is, can they open those containers? But anyways, let's assume that they were allowed to do this. The police officers then check whether the gun was stolen, and the records check indicated that it was not. Then the officer returned to the vehicle and started looking in the front seat of the vehicle for that license and registration. So then we have another search happening. In the meantime, officers also decided to do a field sobriety test, because after all, Mr. Hilton was disoriented and it seemed like he was under the influence of drugs or alcohol. These field sobriety tests were inconclusive, so the officers called in a drug recognition expert. This is something that was routine for this department. When the DUI officers are unable to conduct the field sobriety test, or when the field sobriety tests are inconclusive, they call this DRE expert. But before the DRE expert could arrive, at 6:41 in the morning, about 28 minutes later, they asked Mr. Hilton for his name and his date of birth. At that point, they checked for warrants and Mr. Hilton's criminal history. Well, it turned out that Mr. Hilton had a background, he had criminal history, and he was essentially charged with felon in possession. Now, I didn't go into more detail. Later on, he was released on bail and committed another crime, another bank robbery. And the gun that was found in the vehicle the first time around was tied to both of these two bank robberies. Now, aside from those facts, here's what Mr. Hilton argues at the Ninth Circuit. He says that the officers unreasonably prolonged the traffic stop when they were conducting the search for warrants and criminal history. Remember, under Rodriguez, a routine traffic stop can become unlawful if it is prolonged beyond the time reasonably required to complete the mission of issuing a ticket for the violation. Please go back and watch my video on Rodriguez. This is the Supreme Court Rodriguez versus United States, and I give you the site so you can read the whole case. But I get this question all the time. There is no time limit on how long the officers have to give you the traffic violation, that traffic ticket. It is reasonable time. So of course the question becomes, is 28 minutes reasonable? And you're gonna find cases all over the place because it is not the time itself that's at issue, not the amount of minutes. It is whether that time was reasonable to conclude and complete the mission of issuing the ticket. Hey, sorry for this quick interruption, but do you want to buy yourself the coolest t-shirt in town? Or maybe the biggest rag to clean your windshield? I'm talking about these Do Not Arrest Me t-shirts. They're available on my website. So after this video ends, there are instructions on how to buy them. Thanks for supporting this channel and buy my t-shirts. So here's what the Ninth Circuit says. Traffic stops are especially fraught with danger to the police officers. So an officer may need to take certain negligibly burdensome precautions in order to complete his mission safely. So here's what we learned from the Ninth Circuit. The officers can in fact run a background and a warrants check in order to see whether the driver is a felon. And in fact, this is not only in the Ninth Circuit. If you read this case, the Ninth Circuit joins the 8th, 7th, 4th, 10th, and 1st Circuit in this decision. So you can go back to this case and then pull up these other cases because the fact patterns will be different. And it's quite interesting to read different fact patterns to see how the same rule applies on different facts. And so maybe I will discuss some of those cases later on, but you have a head start. Hopefully you enjoyed this video and you understand a little bit more about the prolonged stops, the Supreme Court case Rodriguez, and of course, traffic violations and the checks that the officers do for their own safety. If you enjoyed this video, please click like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button so next time I post, you'll be first to know. Thanks for watching.